Welcome to webinar 60. Can you believe it? I'm Dr. Lisa Singletary. I'm thrilled for you to be here. And today we're talking about the sweet tooth downshift. What can you do about that sweet tooth? You know, when I asked AI to make this image for me, and I was like, ooh, that's a little scary. But you know what? Sugar is scary, what it does inside the body. So I was like, all right, Chat GPT, or who made this? Yeah, I think it was Chat GPT that made this image for me. I was like, all right, you got it. Sugar is scary. So there's another scary image coming too, just fair warning. But we're going to talk today about 3 smart ways to cut sugar without feeling deprived. Ding, 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 ding. So here's the problem. And you might have heard statistics about how little sugar people, Americans, most of the statistics are on Americans, consumed 100 years ago, 50 years ago. But today, the American Heart Association daily limit for women is 24 grams of sugar, which is about 5 or 6 teaspoons. For men, the limit is 36 grams of sugar, which is, again, maybe not quite double that. But guess what? 1 can of Coca-Cola has 39 grams. So that's more than the amount that's the upper limit for males. But what is the average American taking in? Over 70 grams. So like double, or for women, over, let's say triple the upper limit of the maximum amount of sugar we should be having. And if you add that up over a year, it's over 60 pounds of added sugar in your diet, which is about an airline check-on bag. So we're gonna check the bag onto the Bad Food Express airline and let it go. But we've got to have a strategy, because sugar is powerful. It's powerful in our metabolism, it's powerful in our taste buds, it's powerful in every organ in our body. So we're going to have some strategies today. So maybe, and we associate sugar with energy, right? You feel a little crash and, all right, I need to either get some caffeine or get some sugar. But maybe you're like doing it right. You're doing everything you could think of right, but you just can't shake the habit. And a lot of people are not overeating sugar on purpose. They are getting hit by concentrated sugar or liquid sugar, hidden sugar, healthy sugar that's really not, healthy in parentheses, in quotations, right? Healthy foods that really have sugar, and the dreaded dopamines. Thank God for dopamine, but sugar is a dopamine trigger that will keep us stuck. And what do I mean by stuck? Well, we can be in a biological doom loop. So here are the basics. You consume simple added sugars. Now, okay, so what's the difference between a simple sugar and a complex sugar? Simple sugar, you can spoon it. It's like table sugars. Or it's a very highly absorbable form of sugar, such as honey, right? It's a simple sugar as opposed to sugar that's trapped in fiber. So fruits like, apples, oranges, they have sugar, but they also are trapped in or encased in little fiber cages. So it's not as much of a hit to your system. It's like perfect, right? Fruit. But when you break up the fiber, and most juicers do that, right? When you juice the fruit and then, or the vegetables, and what's left, there's this fiber. And initially, all we did was throw that fiber away. Now, the smart people will take that fiber and instead of throwing it away, figure out some way to get it back in their bodies, like making muffins with it, or I don't know, I'd have to go online to see what the cool kids are doing today, but you can reclaim some of the fiber that you lose in juicing. But I just want to be clear that there's a difference between simple sugars and complex sugars, because complex sugars, the body takes work to break down and it takes time to break down. So those extra fibers make all the difference. Okay. So what happens? You take in these simple sugars intentionally or unintentionally, it spikes your blood glucose. And then your pancreas gets triggered, right? Which it's supposed to do. When glucose elevates in the blood, your pancreas says, there's extra glucose. We got to take care of it. So it will push out insulin, which opens the doors to your muscle cells so your muscles can absorb the glucose and use it, or your fat cells will store it if there's excess. But once the insulin does its job, there's a crash, right? So, and I've told this story before, so I don't think I'll go into it today, but there was a day when I did, okay, I'm telling the story. I decided to do, and the reason I decided to do it was I met Dr. Atkins at a conference. And, the Atkins diet was like really the first keto or low carb diet that I was aware of. He wasn't the first to do it, but he was the first to popularize it as far as I know. And I had the privilege of meeting him at a conference. And he challenged us. He was like, every researcher here is showing how bad sugar is and how we need to cut carbs in the diet. I just took it to another level. And so I said, all right. And he predicted that after a glucose challenge, that my sugar would go up to 200. And then, like hour by hour, he predicted it. He had a chart in his book. So I did a fasting blood glucose, and I was working in the clinic, and I went to the lab in 30 minutes, 1 hour. And then, it was a 5-hour glucose tolerance test. So, and I tracked exactly like this chart shows. And by 2:00 in the afternoon, I actually, I'm I don't remember who this patient is, but I need to apologize to them. I had this crash and I fell asleep while I was talking to a patient in my clinic. I was like, okay, I have to listen to more about Dr. Atkins and the effects of sugar on my body. So I had that crash, and yes, fatigue, brain fog. And what did I want to do? Maybe it's what I did. I went right out to the food truck that was parked outside of the clinic and got a large sweet tea, right? Crazy. But that was the effect that this concept of sugar had on me. And then I learned. And it's not only the crash, but the biological addiction loop. So you consume it, you get that dopamine hit, you get the energy surge, your insulin spikes, and then your pancreas clears out the glucose. But especially if you're insulin resistant, the pancreas has to push and push and push until your insulin receptors work. And then the glucose rushes into your cells, and then you're craving. You need more because you're hypoglycemic at this point. And it actually develops into an addiction. And there's studies, if you look at the criteria for substance abuse, sugar dependence in rats, and, we can extrapolate this to humans, triggers or indicate 5 out of the 11 clinical criteria for substance use disorder. So tolerance, you need more and more, you know, you need to add more and more sugar over time to make something taste right. And you're like, oh, they don't make it like they used to. You got to add more. No, it's your tongue. It's your tolerance to the substance sugar, to the sweetness. Cravings, hazardous use, withdrawal, and using larger amounts than intended. So I have 2 big goals today. Number 1, understanding how added sugar hijacks your energy, your appetite, and creates cravings. And number 2, how can we regain control with just a few strategic shifts? So, great article today, and this is in healthline.com. 13 simple ways to stop eating lots of sugar. Many drinks, sauces, breakfast foods contain more sugar than you might realize. So we're going to dig in to this article and actually have another article later on for the bonus secret. But the article summary, simple, realistic, and it did give 13 or 14 ways of decreasing sugar, changing drinks, spotting hidden sugar, choosing more oh, they just threw something off the roof. There's a roof thing upstairs. So if I flinch, it's because they just dropped a big 2x4 or however big of those things are they're using. Anyway, changing drinks, spotting hidden sugar, choosing more satisfying foods, reading labels, and using smarter alternatives. So we're going to discover the secrets. Number 1, rethink the drink. Secret number 2, spot the health halo. What does that mean? Secret number 3, build strategic swaps. And secret number 4, the bonus secret, is we're going to dive onto the sweetener spectrum. What are the alternatives to using sugar or sucrose to sweeten our foods strategically? All right, well, hey, I'm Dr. Lisa Singletary. Just want to let you know a little bit about me. I'm a retired board-certified family physician and certified holistic health coach. I have a personal health journey. I've lost over 150 pounds. And I did that. When I thought about how did I do that and how can I share it, I developed something called the 5 M's. Oh, this was part of my journey. So from picture on the left to the picture in the middle was 8 months of nothing but figuring out how to nourish my cells properly. And then still on the journey today, but I developed the 5 M's of total transformation: mindset, macronutrients, micronutrients, motion, and measurement, to empower you to achieve your transformation to optimal health. And today we're talking about sugar, so that's kind of a macronutrient category, so that's why I'm wearing purple today. And I did also develop a framework called the 5 Steps to Nutritional Completeness. And this helps me because there's so much information out there about this is good, this is bad, what you need to eat, what you need to supplement with. And so I just had to put it in a framework where I could understand step by step. All right. If we don't, and a lot of people will go right to step 5, right? I want something for brain support, joint support, thyroid support, targeted nutrition. But everything has to be built on the foundation. So we start at step one, avoid the bad foods. If you do nothing else but avoid the bad foods, your health is going to improve. It's amazing the power of the good foods, but also the bad foods. Unfortunately, the good foods don't have all of the 90 essential nutrients that we need. So in step two, if you live in Loma Linda or one of the other blue zones around the earth, then you can get all these essential nutrients from your food. If you live anywhere else, you need to supplement, because the word essential means you need these nutrients, but it also means your body can't make them. Step three, I love antioxidants, adaptogens, anti-inflammatories. Step four, digestive health. You are not what you eat, you are what you absorb. And then once you have the foundation, you can go to what I call wellness wonderland. Have at it with all of the other strategies and supplements and, you know, therapies and patches and all, whatever. The red light therapy, well, you can go out and get some sun. But all of that is built on the foundation of the first four steps, especially the first. Yeah, these days I used to say you only have to get up to step three, but these days we need to take care of the gut too. All right, so we'll do it in order. But there was a point in my life when I needed a miracle. I was just maxed out physically, and I was in my father's wheelchair just to get around the house. And so we don't talk about miracles in health and wellness. I put this in because it's also my disclaimer slot. So I'm not promising you a miracle. I needed one, but this is also my disclaimer that this is not a medical consultation. This is not a second opinion. Your insurance won't cover me, but I'm giving you my expertise, my experience, and hopefully you'll have some value and some tools that you can take home and help yourself on the road to optimal wellness. So, secret number one, rethink the drink. What does that mean? Well, don't sip your sugar and call it hydration. So just because something is liquid going into your mouth doesn't mean it's hydrating your cells. Sugary drinks actually are one of the easiest ways to overconsume sugar. I'm trying to think. We did a talk. I did a webinar where I talked about osmolality and how concentrated certain drinks are that we don't realize are so much more concentrated than your blood. And so when you drink them, it actually pulls water out of your cells because everything has to be in balance in your body. Equilibrium, dynamic equilibrium, or homeostasis. And when you drink something that's highly concentrated, your body's like, okay, we gotta balance it out. And water will rush out of your cells into your gut to try to compensate for this overconsumption of sugar. So, sugary drinks, they're tricky. Also, liquid calories don't create the same fullness as solid food. So you think about meal replacements and, like you get a little 12 ounce or 16 ounce bottle of something that might have good stuff in it, but it's not the same as if you get the same amount of calories, but with solid food. Okay. Sweet drinks can drive rapid blood sugar rise and then a crash. We saw that on the chart. I felt it. And there are many things that seem to be healthy, such as juice, cranberry juice cocktail, but also sodas, sports drinks, sweet tea, coffee add-ins are frequent offenders as far as helping you / hurting you by getting too much sugar at one time. So what can you do? Swap out soda or juice for water, right? Sparkling water is great too, but not with meals. The carbonation affects your stomach acid. So we don't want to, if you're doing anything sparkling, do it between meals. Herbal teas, unsweetened tea. We talked about a little tip last time about the chaser. So if you do drink a cup of apple juice, say, or a can of soda, whatever, do a chaser. Fill the same container that you just drank from with water, and that's the chaser. So you're diluting or you're balancing out the effect of that concentrated sugar that you just ingested, so that your cells don't have to lose dehydrate themselves just to balance it out. Cut sweetness gradually. All right, what does this mean? Just like we get a tolerance for sweetness, our taste buds can get used to the extra sugar and demand more and more sugar. Our taste buds could also get used to having less sugar. So if we're just gradually cutting down the amount of sugar, our taste buds will follow. There's an adjustment period, right? But they will comply. Our bodies are amazing. And so if you take a deep thought, deep thinking, all right, what is one drink that I can replace or make sure I dilute this week? Like, is it a juice that you thought, oh, this is healthy? It's juice. It's natural. Well, maybe we can help to balance out those extra sugars or those readily available sugars by doing an extra strategy, either swapping them out or doing the chaser trick, or gradually decreasing the amount of the juice. So instead of an 8-ounce serving, an 8-ounce glass, or 12 or 16, make it a 6-ounce serving. So you still get the taste, you get the refreshment, but you're not overloading your body with the sugar. Okay, secret number 2, spot the health halo. Okay, warning, there's another scary image coming up. Okay. The sugar saboteur. Ooh, that guy. When I first saw that, I was like, whoa. But here we go. Something that is labeled healthy, or that sounds healthy, or that looks healthy, doesn't mean that it is low sugar. So what are some of these health halos? Look at the halos. If something says low fat, if the label says low fat, it sounds healthy, right? But often low fat means they've put extra sugar in because fat has flavor, right? So if you take out the fat, you're taking out the flavor. You got to replace that flavor somehow to make people want to buy it or keep buying it. Not just once. They want you hooked. So another health halo is natural. Dates are natural. But if you have a problem with sugar, even fruit sugar, then you're going to have to be careful with the dates. Realize, but in marketing, the word natural, you've got to really take a look at the label. Danger, warning, right? Energy, definitely we associate energy with sugar and caffeine. So what do we need to do? Here we go. Low-fat products often add sugar to improve taste. Granola bars, huge offenders. Flavored yogurts, dried fruits, like the dates. Breakfast cereal, packaged smoothies can look healthy and carry a high sugar load. Sauces and condiments can contribute a surprising amount of sugar. I'm looking at you, ketchup. And the ingredient list, they don't say sugar, right? They might say the word syrup. They might say nectar, or they might have a lot of words that end in OSE, O-S-E. And the other, they'll give an abbreviation, HFCS, high fructose corn syrup, right? And the sneakiest trick that they do is they will put different types of sugar in the ingredients. So it sounds like it's just a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but when you add them all up, sugar might be the number one or number two ingredient in whatever food it is. So you have to look for the tricks. So when you look at a label, sugar is a carbohydrate. So you're going to look at the total carbohydrates, but the labels break down carbohydrates and include something called, or a category called added sugars. You want to keep an eye on that. Like I said, the OSEs you might see, and these are sugar aliases. You might see fructose, dextrose, maltose, sucrose. Lactose is milk sugar, right? They're all, if it says OSE, it is in the sugar family. High fructose corn syrup, rice syrup, malt syrup, and then natural. Okay, so agave nectar, cane juice, coconut sugar, molasses, all can be on the label with their different names in multiple places, and all of this will add up. So, if sugar, and there's the hint at the bottom, if sugar is in the top three ingredients, abort, right? Just cut the engine, pump the brakes. But you also have to look for the aliases, because they might not be in the top three ingredients, but there might be three different types. And if you add them together, they might be number one or number two. So what can you do? Check your yogurt, check your cereal, check your protein bars, your pre-workout bars, your post-workout bars, your granola bars, your sauces in your drinks first. Even something like nuts, right? If the nuts have a coating on them, then, you know, we want the as close to what came from the tree, as close to the tree nuts as possible, right? Look for includes added sugars on the label. Read the first 3 to 5 ingredients, but watch for the multiples. And just go with the whole, full fat, less processed options when possible. Okay, secret number 3, build strategic swaps. What can we do? You don't need more willpower. You need better defaults. So glucose, so both sides of this image represents forms of sugar, right? But which side is going to be better for you? So glucose from natural whole foods like fruit, vegetables, dairy is a steady source of energy. A lot of that is because it's packaged in fiber cells. It's packaged in cellulose, or it, it's the fiber with it makes it a slower release in your body. We talked about that. Okay. You know that. You got it. Added sugar is a system overload. It's extracted, refined, and pumped into processed foods so that it will trigger the dopamine response and start that craving cycle. And look at the statistic. Almost 90% of the added sugars in the average American diet come from ultra processed foods, not the sugar bowl on your table. So reading the labels and just being aware and leaning towards the whole foods is not the store. That's maybe whole pocketbook, but whole. But thankfully we have some alternatives to being able to get wholesome, organic, farm to table, whole foods. So what are some swaps? Instead of the 6 ounce, do you remember when 8 ounces of yogurt was a serving? Come on. Now it's 6 ounces or 4 ounces. But I like yogurt, so that was a shock to me back at the, when the switches were happening. But anyway, 6 ounces instead of 6 ounces of low fat vanilla yogurt, which has 24 grams of sugar. So that's the whole day's supply or limit right there for women. Go for 6 ounces of full fat plain Greek yogurt plus berries. Instead of ketchup or barbecue sauce, lean towards salsa, avocado, vinegar, mustard. Instead of sports drinks or fruit juice, try unsweetened sparkling water, coconut water, or some of the amazing supplement add-ins that we can add to our water to make it more functional. Last webinar 59 was all about functional water, or what they call loaded water. Instead of quote unquote healthy granola bars or dried fruit, raisins, right? Raisins are so healthy, but they are so concentrated sugar. So you have to be careful. But go for nuts, seeds, hard-boiled eggs, or no sugar jerky. There's some really good protein sources that can help with satisfaction, help you get your protein during the day, that are not preserved. They're very low chemicals, but they don't have to be refrigerated. That's it. All right. So actions. Pick 3 repeat offenders in your routine and just start with 1 and do a swap. And watch for breakfast and snacks, right? And because that's when a lot of times the carbs and the sugars will be very prevalent. So focus on making your breakfast and snacks protein and produce. All right, so what if you just need the sweetness? You're convinced that the sugar is I'm going to say bad. You're convinced the sugar is bad for you, but you need you need something sweet. And so there are so many alternatives on the market, but how can we be strategic about them? What do we know about them? So there's this great Healthline article called The No BS Guide to Added Sugar. And it talks about the alternatives to sugar, but also it categorizes the alternatives to sugar. And what do I mean by the categories? So think about these words. You can have natural sugars that have a lot of, or natural sweeteners, I'm going to say, that affect your blood sugar. I dropped down to number 3 first. But You can have natural sweeteners that have no effect on the blood sugar, 0 calorie. Now, that's also controversial. There's some research that shows that even these natural 0 calorie options can affect your blood sugar somewhat. So you have to listen to your body. But generally, they are a great option. There's something called sugar alcohols. It works for some people, but they cause gas and bloating for some people. So there are a lot of options, and we want to be really strategic about it. And that article will help. So looking at those alternatives and how they affect your glycemic index, that's how quickly your blood sugar will spike after you take them. The 0 calorie naturals are such as stevia or monk fruit. Now, there are stevia is on like gangbusters. Back in the day, it was aspartame, and before that, it was Sweet and Low. What was Sweet and Low? I can't remember the name, but it's been so long. The yellow packets, right? And aspartame is the blue packets, or I don't know. The pink, there were the pink packets, the blue packets, and the yellow packets. So I don't remember all of them, but they were they're tasting better and better, but you still have to watch the effect that they have on you because, for instance, some people got headaches from aspartame. Different things can happen inside your body. But stevia right now is one of my personal favorites. I do like monk fruit a little bit, but I prefer stevia. Maybe it's just because I'm used to it, right? My taste buds have acclimated to it. But I do like the stevia in beverages, coffee. I don't really cook with it, but that's one option. But look, generally it has a 0 glycemic index, meaning it doesn't spike your glucose when you take it. All right, sugar alcohols, erythritol. I have baked with erythritol. You just have to be careful not to get too much of it because it can cause digestive issues. They're specialty sweeteners. Now, I've never tried Yacon syrup, but I think allulose might be in this category. Allulose is the new sweetener on the block, the new kid on the block, and it has a very low glycemic index, and it works in everything. You can bake with it. You can use it just stirring it into drinks and whatnot. And it's getting more and more available. The allulose that you can add, or even I saw some gummy worms with allulose, and I thought, oh, that's a good idea. It's something you can chew. It's got a little sweetness, but the thing about that is I didn't, I was just going through the line. I didn't take a good look at the ingredients. I suspect it's highly processed. So everything is a trade-off, right? Now, when we look at natural, the bottom two categories, I would totally consider natural, but there are natural low glycemic and fruit-based, which is natural, but they're high glycemic. So they sound like coconut sugar sounds healthy, right? But look at what it can do to your blood sugar. So you have options, but be aware, be careful of how your body responds to these different alternatives. So use sweeteners to reduce the total sugar. And there's another thing you can do. You can mix a little bit of sweetener with a little bit of sugar, and the combination can help you to decrease the sugar more and more. So we want to reduce total sugar dependence. And we're not doing it to see, how sweet we can make it. Oh my goodness. I have a friend. I can't tell you how much stevia she uses. She'll put like droppers full of stevia in one cup. You're supposed to just do a few drops, and oh my goodness, ooh, she's got a sweetness intensity threshold that's through the roof. But uh, you know, that's her alternative to sugar. Um, so do a test and see which ones you like and which ones don't affect you. And try it. You can try it in drinks, beverages, or in yogurt. And like I said, notice how your body responds. Here's another thing you can do. Hack the spike. All right. When you do eat sugar, I taught my dad this trick. If you're going to have a slice of pie, a little slice of pie, right? Never eat by itself. Never just eat the slice of pie. And there's only one pie that's worthy of cheating like that, and that was Aunt Mary's sweet potato pie, and she's gone, so no more slices of pie. But if you're going to have a sweet treat, a sugar-laden sweet treat, pair it with a protein or a fiber. Never eat it by itself. And back in the day, if you got a slice of apple pie, some places might still do this. You got a brick of cheddar cheese along with it. And when I first saw that, it didn't make sense to me, but this was really traditional wisdom, pairing a protein with the sweet. And increasing the protein in your diet just by 25% has been shown to reduce food cravings by a massive 60%. So maximize your protein. I didn't put it in. Maybe I'll put it in the comments. I mean, in the YouTube description. I've shared it with you many times before because of the power of protein. But what does 30 grams of healthy protein look like? So I'm going to add that too as a bonus in the YouTube description. Okay. So what have we discovered today? Secret number 1, rethink the drink. Those sweet drinks can pump so much sugar into your system. We got to pump the brakes. Secret number 2, spot the health halo, natural, low fat. Their disguises sometimes for extra sugar. Build strategic swaps, right? Change your condiments, and the bonus secret, learning about all of the extra alternatives to sugar that we have available. So what's your big takeaway today? What is one change that you will make to downshift your sweet tooth? So thank you for joining me for Total Transformation Secrets. Thank you those who are here live. Oh my goodness, my live audience was amazing today. But you might have just come on the YouTube side. And if you want to join us live, we're here every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. Just scan the QR code to register. And this room will be here all of 2026. Now, the next event on the menu is tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. Their recording will be premiering on YouTube, and I'll be live in the chat for the first showing. So join me tonight on my YouTube channel, Dr. Lisa Singletary, at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we'll have some fun. So here we are shedding light on the secrets I'm Dr. Lisa, and the red Corvette, vroom vroom, is about to ride. So thank you for joining me today. I love you all. Mwah.